So the intersection of sport events and city planning can define or redefine a city or region, with architectural innovation meeting urban development. Sport venues can be conceived of as a framework of rethinking, rejuvenating urban areas. This session vibes with the game-changing magic of sport events, transformations that linger long after the final wither. Get ready for a dive into how communities and cities can ride the wave of sport event energy and redefine their cultural, economic, and social landscapes. It's all about that lasting cool factor. And for that, I would like to introduce our moderator on this subject, Mr. Daniel Casasvalier. He's like the kind of guru of architecture, urban designing. Please take a seat beside me. And I lost my papers right now. It's right here. So Daniel Casasvalier, I said, is like the cool urban guru that redefines the games for over 2 decades, especially in the streets. And he's rocking the urban planning scene both as a designer and researcher. Right now he's hustling on various urban design project and planning studies at his spot Urban Dynamics in Porto, Amsterdam. Did I mention that he wrote this book, this incredible book that you all must have right now? And I've got mine. The Future Design of Streets. It was released in September, and it's a precious book, and it's gonna change the whole aspect of our streets. Daniel is not only about the urban green, he's deep into strategic policy and design projects where urbanism and sports thrown down some serious connection. Total legend. So the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Welcome, everybody. Of course, there's a lot of exciting and inspiring today. Me, as an urban designer, an urban planner, I find it always really interesting to be in, let's say, an audience and a public that is not about design and planning, because I think we can learn very much from each other. And that is about cities and urbanism. I think in cities and urbanism today, there are a lot of things happening, a lot of challenging social sustainability, and of course health and inclusiveness. And I think sport is a very fundamental aspect on this, and also how we plan this streets in a way and cities. I just want to mention one thing about the book, because it's not something that I think it's very important. If you talk about cities, it is in a way, let's say, spaces where you can do sport or physical activity that are designed especially for that moment, or there are, in that moment, this kind of events. But the most of physical activity, playing, biking, walking, everything, it's the day-to-day element. And I think that is very important that we move through the day a lot of things. So I would like to challenge you all to have this integration about sport in all kinds of aspects. And I think I saw very inspiring elements and examples on that today. Saying that, today in this panel, it's the focus, what can sport, and especially sport events and venues, deliver to cities, and what is, let's say, the added value, how cities work, how they function. Not only about the event itself, but also what take it with it. Of course, the infrastructure, the venues itself, but it's much more to tell and talk about this. We will have today, the last session of today, a kind of dynamic session, because there are a few persons that have only 10 or 20 minutes of time. So we do it in order of appearance. And today we start with Nicolas Ferrand. Nicolas Ferrand is, I think, the one that most busy person in Paris, or maybe France, because you are responsible for all the venues of the Olympic Games. And I think this is really important how they organize this in the city. As COO of the Solideo, that is basically the company that organize and manage this, I would like to ask you to tell us, let's say, the challenges and the overview of this mega project.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm very delighted to be with you this afternoon. I'm Nicolas Ferrand, so maybe you can go to the next slide, or maybe I'm in charge of that. Yeah, this is it. And I'll say a few words about Solideo and the way we manage the delivery of venues and infrastructure for the Paris 2024 Olympic Games and Paralympic Games. So, this, you know everything about that, the key figures about the games, okay, the most important event during peacetime, okay. How are we organized to deliver the venues and infrastructures for the games? And but more roughly for the general delivery of the games. What you know usually is Paris 2024, Tony Estanguet, in charge of actually games operations, you know, the planning and the delivery of games operation. And we have a twin body in charge of delivering all the permanent venues and infrastructures, which is a public firm, Solideo, Société de livraison des ouvrages olympiques, Olympic Delivery Authority. The chairwoman of the board is Anne Hidalgo, the mayor of Paris. Okay, and we have this mission to deliver the 70 different objects for a total budget of 4.5 billion euros, which is more or less half of the London program for the games. Okay, the slide has changed. What do we have to do? Okay, I'm not going to describe all those projects. I'll just say a few words about some of them. One of the idea is that we have both brand new operation and renovation of existing site, okay? And this explains why we have a budget which is half of the London's budget. One of the key differences with London is on the right, maybe I can stand, it will be easier, is on the right of the slide, okay. In London, they just had one delivery partner. We have 31 delivery partners, okay. The idea behind that is that the one who is actually building the site, building the venue, is the one who will own the venue and run the venue after the games. And given this idea, we are kind of sure that we won't have what we call in French white elephant, you know, this kind of huge projects with no use for the local communities after the games. So my mission as the Solideo is to organize those 31 partners so that they are absolutely on time and on budget for the games. And we have a couple of funding partners, but this is quite common in France. Okay, roughly, just as usual, Chairwoman Anne Hidalgo, CEO Nicolas Ferrand. This is not very important. This is, I mean, Chairwoman is very important, but not the CEO. One of the key ideas for us is this time frame. It is unchanged since 2017 when we got the games. And we have to deliver everything at the end of year 2023. It means that as of today, I just have 1 month and 4 days left, 3 days left, 2 days left to deliver everything. And the very good news is that we are absolutely on time. I mean, everything, all the building site will be done, all the building process will be done after for New Year's Eve 2023. After we hand over all the sites and the venues to Paris 2024, they run the games, and we come back. We come back during the autumn of 2024 until 2027, just for the legacy phase, and we have a lot of works to transform all the sites from their Olympic aspect to their general definitive aspect. So what do we have to build? Okay, the most important one is the Olympic and Paralympic village, which, as you see, is both on both sides of the Seine River. We are north of Paris, close to, it's a little disturbing, this kind of changing, close to this highway, and we are building something like 330,000 square meters of new buildings for the games, everything that you see here. And it is organized around this old electrical plant, which has been converted into a big cinema studios a couple of years ago, that you can see in the middle. The Olympic restaurant will be inside this electrical plant, and all the buildings will accommodate the athletes during the games. Actually, we build also a bridge and a couple of other things for the games. Let me show you a couple of pictures of what it looks like now, or at the beginning of November. You can see this old electrical plant on the right, the new bridge, and the general aspect, the general architecture of what we're currently delivering, with this kind of curved ramp, you know, for the Paralympic Games and for people with disabilities, so that they can go from the top level to the lower level. And as you can see, we kept all the old trees, and this is very important for us, you know, to give this sense of nature. Not, you know, brand new trees, but this kind of old, century-old trees in the process. Another view, okay, the bank of the Seine. So we have this very nice relationship between the project and the Seine River. Another view, and as you can see, we've decided to emphasize the architectural aspect of the village. So we have something like 41 different architects, you know, for 40 buildings, which is kind of weird, but okay, we have 2 architects on one building. On the first level, you will have shops after the games, and during the games, we'll have services for the athletes. At the very right of this slide, you can see the legacy phase with something like 6,000 residents and 6,000 employees. Okay, so during the legacy phase, we'll convert all those buildings into both residential buildings and tertiary, office buildings. Okay. In the Olympic Village, we also have to renovate this kind of old concrete structure. It will be used during the game for the boxing training, the box training. And this is how it looks like. So we both have kind of very brand new approach and renovation approach. We also have to build a media village to house some of the journalists. So where are we? We are in Le Bourget. What you see on the right is an airport which will be converted during the game at the International Broadcast Center, IBC. And the nice white little plot on the top of the slide are this media village that we're building. And it looks like that now, you know, with this kind of clay bricks all over the place. And as you can see, you have the airport in the foreground. So we're also building that. It's a 100,000 square meters project. And after the game, for the legacy phase, it will house something like 4,000 people. Okay, we are building something like 5 bridges over the Seine River or over highways. So this is one of the nice wooden bridge that are assembled during the night in August. It was in August. We have this wonderful, exceptional aquatic Olympic center, you know, which is a nice swimming pool, completely built in wood, and it's the largest timber U-shaped roof in the world. It's quite an achievement. And we are looking at this swimming pool from the Stade de France, which is only renovated. We are not building a new Olympic stadium. Our Stade de France was pretty well designed 20 years ago. And inside the swimming pool, this is how it looks like. You can see the Stade de France, the Olympic Stadium, through the window. You see the wooden shape roof and the swimming pool with no water at that point, but which is now with water, and obviously during the game. At least it's better. And we're also building a couple of the gymnasium or arena. What is interesting in this one is on the left part of the picture, you can see this big structure which accommodates 9,000 seat arena. you know, for basketball and special event, cultural event. And on the right side, with the square boxes, you know, on the right, we added gymnasiums for the local community. Those gymnasiums were not needed for the games, but we decided that to make a legacy which is actually perfectly fitted for the need of the local communities, it was wise to add this part of the program. So, as Solideo, I just fund the left part of the of the building, and la ville de Paris, the city of Paris, which actually built this part, funds the integrity of the right part of the building. Let me finish with a couple of words about our ambitions. As you know, the Paris 2024 Olympic Games are the first game which will be completely aligned with the Paris Agreement on climate. And so we have a strong emphasis on the environmental approach, and especially on carbon reduction and climate resilience. And how does it translate? What we reach, it's on the top left part of this slide, is one of the most important achievements of Solideo. We are in the process of reaching a 47% reduction of greenhouse gases emission in building the whole program. More or less for France, this is a target we have for years 2030, 2035, and we can do it now. And what we show to the world is that the French building industry is ready to match the targets of the Paris Agreement on climate now, with 10 years ahead of schedule. Okay, we are also doing a couple of things with the circular economy, biodiversity, and climate resilience. We designed the whole Olympic village with the idea that under the climate of year 2050, we must guarantee the comfort in every room without air conditioning. And we do that. And we do that because of the way we design the buildings, because of the way we design the whole urban area. And this is quite an achievement given the climate condition 25 years from now. So this is it. And we also have a couple of social ambitions. Okay, 10% of the hours worked are reserved for people who are very far from employment, and we can do that even under the Olympic pressure. And okay, 25% is more common. And what about safety? What about safety? We don't have any dead worker on the Olympic sites as for now. And we had a couple of accidents, okay, something like 156, 157 given the one of this morning. 25 are serious, but we don't have any deadly construction accidents. And this is quite an achievement. It means that we have divided by four the statistics of accident on building sites in France. Okay, so if we can do that for the Olympic construction, we can do that on every building site in France and in Europe, and this is very important. And just to wrap up, we are absolutely on time, on budget, and at the level we expected for our environmental and social ambitions. Thank you.
Does it work? Yes? Okay, thank you very much, Nicolas, also for the speed up of your presentation. In the meantime, there is Emmanuel Gregorior entering the floor. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Hello.
And before Nicolas, and a great applause for you. Thank you very much. I think it's incredible work how you managed to do all this work on terms of sustainability, trees and everything. And I think it's also interesting that even the building process is a kind of Olympic game in itself. So thanks for your insights. For now, Emmanuel Grangor, he is Deputy Mayor of the City of Paris. Welcome. From urban planning and architecture of the Paris and Greater Paris, and he will unfold also some insights about the relation of sport, of course the Olympic Games and venues for the benefits for the neighborhoods and the city itself. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a slide presentation. I don't know if it's ready. No. But it will. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear Mayor, dear representatives. Of course, I'm supposed to speak about a major subject in only 10 minutes because we have very few time because we have a boat with some of you. So I will make a focus on a specific building. Nicolas just talked about it. It's the Adidas Arena. I'm, as you said, Emmanuel Grégoire. I'm very glad to be with you today. And I'm the first Deputy Mayor of Anne Hidalgo in charge of urban planning and architecture and other subjects. And of course, I'm very pleased to be here with you for this meeting. We have been deeply involved in the organization of the Olympic and Paralympic Games for several months and years. And we want this event to be a celebration for our country. Of course, for Paris, of course, for all our residents, and we are working on it very hard. The legacy issue, as Nicolas said, is a key element and reflects the ambitions we have for Paris. The Adidas Arena is probably the most important building for Paris, for the Olympic, because, as you know, probably it will be the only building built for the Olympics, and which be included in the legacy issue. The Adidas Arena is located in probably one of the most difficult quarters of Paris, called Porte de la Chapelle. We're working for this district very, very hard, and is a very good illustration on how we want the Olympics to be a good moment for the future of some of our districts. Porte de la Chapelle is a densely populated district, busy district in the northern of Paris, which numerous public transport infrastructures and road networks, tramway, railways, freeways, ring road. It's also a gateway for both the city of Saint-Denis in the north of Paris and nearby Aubervilliers, another city close to Paris. In 2012, the brand new tramway brought with it beginnings of a major change, which is engaged. However, this neighborhood has undergone a number of social crises in recent years, with probably you heard about that, and like in so many big cities in the world, with the establishment of migrant camps and drug users, particularly crack users. At the same time, it has been the focus of a number of major urban projects with builders, elected officials and promoters all working to transform the area and bring more services to residents as well as jobs, of course, shops and large green spaces and parks. It will come back, I will come back to this later. Returning to the Adidas Arena, I will start with background information for this flagship Olympic facility for badminton and para-badminton, as well as rhythmic gymnastics and para-powerlifting. It's a major new facility in the northeast of Paris at the junction between the Parisian and metropolitan sites, particularly those in Saint-Denis. We are, if you come back on the map, we are about 4 kilometers from the center of the village. The facility will become an iconic venue in Paris for a variety of events, including international sporting competitions and concerts. The Adidas Arena will be home to the team of basketball called Paris Basketball, and it will host 2 new gymnasiums for local sports associations and schools, as well as an open access entertainment area with recreational activities, restaurants, and shops. This major Olympic facility will provide a strong local legacy with a major impact on residents, bringing to them what we call the 15-minute city approach. This is the view of the future building with the layout of the two gymnasiums and, of course, the main hall with a forecourt to accommodate the flow of traffic and provide a venue for events. A couple of inside shots both of the main hall for events and of the community areas and services. The Adidas Arena is designed to give a much-needed push forward to a district undergoing significant changes. In this area, in which 10 urban projects are underway at the same time, both the games and their legacy have enabled all those involved to look ahead to the Olympic Games, but also to mobilize for the ongoing development of the urban projects. All these projects will be interconnected with a number of common objectives. First of all, provide a social mix, consolidate the residential vocation of the area, but also increase the number of housing solutions, bringing services to residents, and strengthening public facilities, attracting new retailers to an area that is currently poorly perceived, meeting the needs of current and future residents by creating facilities to absorb population growth. Of course, also reinforce the proportion of green spaces in an overly urbanized area. Chapelle Charbon is the name of the park. We'll have a large park. We will open a second phase in the next months, which will open. The street of La Chapelle, it's the name of the street from Max Dormois to the north, to the Port de la Chapelle. The Dubois district will have also a park, and the area around the Adidas Arena will be densely planted with trees as part of the bioclimatic local urban plan. We will connect and reinforce this network of green spaces to create a large 10 hectares park. Strengthen public transport and facilitate soft mobility. There are already a great many pedestrians and cyclist areas, but in an environment that is not very peaceful for the moment, sometimes even hostile. All this needs to be considered with the neighborhood's identity in mind. It must remain popular with a strong community life. Gentrification that excludes the family already living here is bound to fail, which is precisely why we have chosen to promote the neighborhood's residential nature in all its social aspects. The same applies to retail outlets when we encourage development of new projects that will enhance quality while providing access for all, notably through affordable prices and control rents, which it comes to our development projects. The Adidas Arena is part of a redevelopment project that I would like to briefly outline for you. For lack of time, it seems difficult to review all 10 current operations in detail, but this one illustrates what we are working on. Gare des Mines is a development area located on either side of the Ring Road Boulevard with a large social housing project managed by Paris Habitat, which is the name of an operator from the city of Paris. This project is currently undergoing an extensive retrofitting and modernization program to ensure that families can live there in comfortable conditions. The completion of the surrounding project will link Charles-Hermite to the rest of the city. Charles-Hermite is on the right side of the slide. It's the name of a big housing program built at the beginning of the 20th century. Will link Charles-Hermite to the rest of the city and bring new services and amenities to the area. The Adidas Arena will be the first step in this direction starting in 2024. The rest of the program is divided between family housing, specific housing for students, for seniors, etc., and the conservation and enrichment of numerous green areas. Added to this, the arrival of the T8 tramway, which will bring a new means of transport to this impoverished, isolated district. This represents a real opportunity And we are working on it with the residents and all the local association and institutional partners here. The Condorcet campus will open in September 2025, directly across from the Adidas Arena, and will further contribute to bringing new services and uses to the Porte de la Chapelle. 4,500 people will be living there, and for us, the challenge is to ensure that these students, teachers, staff, can get involved in the life of their neighborhood by eating lunch in the area, playing sports, of course, at the arena, going to a concert in the evening, enjoying the Chapelle Charbon Park, and even living there. We hope so, thanks to the existing and growing supply of student accommodation. Once again, it is an example of the 15-minute city. In global, we will invest 500 million euros for both Porte de la Chapelle Arena, for the Campus Condorcet, for many projects for Charles Hermite, for the Parc Chapelle Charbon. It's probably the most important investment program of Anne Hidalgo term. Finally, to conclude, I would like to mention a project that is currently underway and will run concurrently with the Adidas Arena project for the Olympic Games 2024. The spectacular revitalisation of the entire stretch of Street de la Chapelle, la rue de la Chapelle, from Max Dormois metro station to Porte de la Chapelle, as far as Gare du Nord. This transformation will be a high-profile feature for the changes taking place in this district. New spaces for walking and cycling. More and better street furniture, new, safer crossings and improved bus access, but also new tree plantings and better access for existing and future shops. For these new areas to succeed, we need to make them our own, keep them well-tended, and also keep them positively alive. We are working, of course, with the Adidas Arena team on sport activities, as well with the 18th district, le 18e arrondissement, to create recreational activities, for example, a toy library, merry-go-round, and temporary commercial outlets, summer terraces, when the weather is fine. It was very important at the beginning of the Olympic adventure to convince Parisians that Olympic will be useful for everyone and for everybody. And in the legacy issue, we are very proud that the Olympic Games help us to improve the quality of life in this district of Paris, which needed probably one of the most difficult districts in Paris. And we are very proud that the Olympic Games will help us to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We have a vote.
Thank you very much. As time is limited always, thank you for the 15 minutes. It's really the 15-minute city, so and it is an effort what we make. As I said, it's a dynamic session today at the rest. There are time schedules for the early guests. I would like to introduce Yamo Mara on the floor, Gamma. She is here in the front. From Gensler, architecture, urban design, but also very specialist in sport venues all around the world. And she will explain something about also the importance of these venues, what can happen in, let's say, downtown or around downtown development, urban development. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Daniel. So the presentation should be showing shortly. But we're going to talk about redefining territories through, but beyond sport. And when the presentation is oh, thank you. So we're going to talk about anchored sports district. This is what I'm going to try to focus on my 15 minutes. Do I have the... Yeah, That's me, I'm Tayo. I'm part of a puzzle. I'm leading the sports for Gensler in Europe. But we have 33 practice areas, so when we are talking about redefining cities and redefining and using the design as a catalyst through sports, but also sometimes through museums, to culture, to healthcare, it depends. We try to see holistically our projects and address that. So Gensler is a global network, but we've been in Europe for the past 30 years. So we have an office in Paris. I happen to sit in London, but yeah, we're evolving. So our subject, which is about welcoming and purpose on the public spaces. So people's habits has been changing, and we need to address the new lifestyles, and that means commitment to the public space is key. So understanding the ratio between, and in every case it's going to be different, between living, working, and playing, and trying to find the balance for each community is when we find more successful projects. So what stories can we tell you today? I was tasked to talk about North American projects. So we are gonna fly to Boston and then to Los Angeles and Milwaukee. 3 different climates. Well, this is a bit different. And so they have, one city like Boston can have very cold temperatures in the winter, whilst in LA, in Los Angeles, you can have 20 Celsius degrees in the winter, very mild winter. So, in Milwaukee, very windy, within a culture of connecting people through brewing. So let's zone in on Boston first. The project is called the Hub on Causeway. So this project challenge was connecting the north end and the west end of Boston. Boston has a good transportation system already there. And this project, which is the blue part there, was on the Causeway, which is the street, in front of the TD Garden, which is an arena that was already there for the past 20 years, but the blue space was a vacant area. And the opportunity here was taking to the project the north. So here's the TD Garden, and the North Station is below the TD Garden. The North Station connects the entire greater Boston through the train and gets there, and you can change to the metro system, to the T. And considering that and addressing that through bringing the people to the pavement, as you can see in the image, the North Station and the TD Garden, through that, how to connect that to the block. So from the pavement was addressing what the people needed on the north and the east end, and what they were asking, believe it or not, was we need grocery stores, we need the pharmacy, we need the post office. And although there were 25,000 residents already there was a few things missing, so that it was addressed here rapidly. And this is what you see from the pavement nowadays. So the continuation of the street to address the North Station, and how to connect the commercial space, commercial creative space, a bit of hotel, and the residential, and the podium where it was all. So the idea was bringing convenience to differentiate the space as a cold place in the winter. They needed not necessarily a heated space, but a protected space during the from the wind, from the snow, and the North Station connection, and how to design the crowd and defining the spaces, guiding the user through where they needed to go, where they needed to meet. So now they can arrive here. They have spaces with restaurants. They have space with the daily needs, like the groceries, like the pharmacy, like the post office, and they could meet here and then go to to the cinema and use. This is in a winter day, autumn winter day. How does it feel this atrium connecting the pavement, this continuation of the street to the station. So this is an example of how transit creates opportunity as well. This was our first case study, and the transition between the single use, that was the arena there, but how to bring the other elements that were lacking in the community, that would bring the west and the north end together. So integrating into that urban fabric that was already there. The next case study is in Los Angeles, is the LA Live District, completely different environment. We are talking about LA, which is highly vertical on the city center, but on the downtown, but very widespread and horizontal. The LA Live District was in the edge of what they call downtown, and this area was a ghost city. 30 years ago, people were not using it unless they were going to the convention center. But the Staples Center, which is the red one there, started catalyzing the change. The Staples Center is known by hosting the Grammy, by hosting the Kings, the Lakers, the basketball teams, and in the US that's very strong. Although at some point they had 5 teams using the venue and all these shows, there was still not enough to make this place vibrant 24/7, which was the goal. So the other colorful buildings are like a theater, 1,000 seats, and a hotel, and a museum for the Grammy. So addressing this, there was more developments like residentials that we were not involved, but we were involved in those colorful ones. It's how we bring life to this place, which is now hosting 1,500 events year-round. They are going to be used on the Olympic Games for the LA 28, and it's already there. It's not something new. It's already connected to the network, although it's a city that it's big compared to what we've got here in Europe. It's connected to the public transportation. So the single-use spaces are becoming obsolete, so the conclusion is that only the Staples Center is not enough. And multi-spaces that can find, the balance between that, what we were saying before, live, work, and playing, can address a better response. So understanding where you sit, the climate, the demographics, what bring people to that space, what bring people together, is going to help you addressing social and environmental and government agreements and support. So the takeaway from this case study is about, even through complex areas, very complex, how to guide the spectator through how to navigate them through that space. Simpler, smooth design everywhere is the goal. And in this case, we succeed on doing a 24/7 mixed-use district, which took 25 years. It was not at once. At first, as I said, the Staples Center didn't work by itself, so it needed to keep developing it. The next one is completely different. The Deer District is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the very north of the United States. And this is the city, the downtown, where we're going to see here. This is Deer. It's not as vertical as we saw before. This is widely anchored by the city knowledge that they need to bring people back to the cities. There are a lot of vacant areas. It's an underdeveloped area. There's the arena there, but we were tasked how to address the public space. So this was the first phase after the arena, and it's about understanding the climate and what people want here. They wanted to enjoy the day. They wanted to take into consideration that they are a brewing city. This is a brewing neighborhood that was there, that got vacant, and engage them, welcoming them. And they need to be covered because most of the season is during the winter, and they want to be there. They go there if you give them the opportunity to be there. They don't need to pay a ticket to go here. They can, people that are attending the spaces, they can gather with their friends that are attending the arena for the match. They can they can socialize afterwards. So it's for all. People are highly engaged. They really using the space. There's yoga, there's Pilates, that Blood Mary Festival, 3x3 basketball festivals, and people are really using the space and are pro the activation of this area. And so basically the takeaway from this is revitalizing roots, it was the goal, building futures for that community through reconnecting to the heritage. So this was the three case studies we touched base: Boston, LA, and Milwaukee. In a nutshell, Gensler tried to learn from every single project that we tackle, and the institute, the research institute, we found that we run research all the time, and this was a 3-year research that we understood that obviously these numbers change project to project, but in average, 82% of the people are looking for the public spaces to have more nature, to address more art, culture, understanding the scale, the demographics, the community, and this is what we try to do, and connecting them. So we conclude that if we use transit, we can save time, we can spend more time with our families or our dear friends, and we can obviously save money as well. And at the same time, if we do great places and we design places that welcome people, they are likely to get back there 50% more. And this is, in the US, the suburban shift between the less dependent to more convenient spaces. People want to be walkable areas, like we were talking about the 15-minute city. And obviously, every city is different. In London, for me, it's more like a 25, 30 minutes. It's really achievable, is what I like to do. But people have different limitations against the weather, the rain, and that's what we're looking to, walkable areas. And again, look at the topography and, what is the surrounding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have still 7 minutes, so we have time for some questions for this guest. What I liked very much about the three speakers and what was presented here, that somehow it's always about transforming and improving the existing city, and sport can help very much to program it to make from a space and place where people come together, but they do also other things. So it's not only about the sport, but it's about the commercial or the shopping or the residential. And public space is a key thing in Paris, but also in the examples that you showed. And I think it's really interesting that also scale is really important. So the position in the city or region or village, in a way, it's also the time scale and the spatial scale. So 25 years is a period that sometimes you have to work to make a place or a space in the city workable. And sometimes you can do it in 1 year, temporarily, in placemaking. And you have to, I think, always bet and work on different kind of scale time frames, but also, let's say, the wider scale. So for now, I don't have a question for you, but I would like to ask the audience if they have a question for you, because they have now the opportunity to do. I think there is a mic there, so, and I don't see the audience, but is there a question? No, we are all tired. Well, we can have I will ask you just one short question, because in our talk we had a really interesting talk, and as you live and work also in London, and besides these examples, you were also involved in Rio de Janeiro, the Olympics, but also in London, so it's a lot of years of experience. Can you tell me something about, let's say, the lessons that you learned in the legacy aspect in London, just really shortly?
So yeah, I've worked already for the Olympics, and I live in London, and I live in the legacy of London, of the Olympic Park. I literally live in Leto, in the edge with the East Village, where was I use that space every day. Like we were talking about the 15 minutes, but for me, bringing my son to school is 22 minutes, and that's ideal for me for disconnecting from work and using that school is legacy, is part of the legacy of the games. And the entire area was, 30 years ago, in the late 90s, was really depressed. And they took, you need something like the Olympics to anchor the change of so much investment and time. And in the case of London, it's longer than 20 years. It's, I think the planning, from planning until the whole plan is done, is gonna be, I think they extended, it's going to be like 30, 40, if not 50 years. It's about consulting the people, but also building in phases. So they first build the base build and the Olympic mode, but also post the legacy. And we are still to get the V&A open soon, and the Here East. So the universities, the UCL, the University College London, is moving part of the campus to Stratford. So yeah, that's, I live that legacy and I see that change, and it's really inspiring when we are designing to understand that the scale in time, that you need to address things in phases, to don't disturb so much, and also to have the time for reflection of what we have designed, what it worked, what can get better, and the responses of the population against those new buildings. And yes, I'm very lucky to have the chance to live in such a nice legacy. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very inspiring as well. But I think it's really interesting that whatever we do in the long term, we cannot predict, of course, the future. But what we can do is create a condition that holds on for generations. And that's, I think, in my opinion, let's say also the legacy or an Olympic game or a big event can have from a city. Not only because of the event itself, but it is fundamental in, let's say, a kind of mind shift in things. Like in Paris, we see the 50 minutes city, and it means that it's also about biking, it's also about walking, it's about street quality, it's about neighborhood management. So there's a lot of aspects that you can be under the umbrella, and the Olympic game can be acceleration in that sense. I think that's a wonderful example also in London and hopefully in much more cities as well. For now, I would like to thank you very much for your hearings. Questions, of course, can be made later on in informal settings, and I hope to hear from all of you later on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.